I was a production DBA working for large companies. They have to be pretty big companies, A, to afford Oracle, right, because of the licensing, and to even be using a product like Oracle to manage their databases. So I'd come in, join part of their IT team. They might have some DBAs already. They needed extra resources, and we'd have to make sure all the backups were done on, and we'd have to do so. There'd obviously there'd be a lot of rolling out of new updates that developers had lashed something together, tested it sort of, and then they fired it at us, and we're like, really? We're going to test this on, a test server database instance first, and then it goes to QA, and then to integration, then QA, and then over to here, and blah. So that whole process, and we were kind of like the police looking after the system, not allowing stuff through that could potentially just cause an outage. And obviously our job was to prevent the outages in the first place, and that was one way, was testing everything. The other was like, just preventing this, a simple one, disk space from filling up, so things would happen. Typically, I'd come on, and then this space would fill up. There'll be an issue. A DBA or me would be trying to figure out what the hell is it. Oh, look, this space filled up. There's a warning in the database. It complains about this. Go and clear it out, and bang, everything's running again. And then you have to do the root cause analysis of that. That's just a symptom of something. It's like, well, what caused the disk space to fill up? It's because of X, Y, Z. Well, we need to stop that from happening, or whatever. The first step typically is like, right, I need an alert sent to me as disk space is filling up before it fills up, so that I can go in and fix it before I figure out what the root cause is and prevent it from doing whatever it's doing, some runaway process or something that developers have implemented. I'm blaming developers, but it's not always them, obviously. Where that's the thing about data, it grows. So over time, so it was fine last year, but it's not fine this year. Nothing else has really changed. It's just the data is bigger, so everything's now taking longer to run and blah. And so that job that used to run then is now taking a bit longer. So another job's kicked off, and then the whole system grinds to halt, all this sort of stuff. I used to enjoy it, actually. My speciality in the team was kind of, and this rolls over into the work I do now. My speciality was the firefighting. Oh my God, what was that? Root causing that, the problem solving, getting it running as fast as possible without hitting the books and going through like 20 books to learn something. It's just like, what is it? Let's fix it in such a way that it's safe. We haven't wrecked it. Now, how do we stop that from happening again? Then what's the root cause analysis so we can prevent it ever happening again, and blah, blah, all that sort of stuff. Once I've done that, I'd pretty much either have a process that people can follow, because I've done it a few times. So I document it with screenshots. You need to do this, then this, then this, run this command, blah, blah, blah. I've written a little script for you to run. And if at all possible, I've written the script, a Unix shell script, so that people like, right, you will need to run this if that happens. And then I can automate it. Oh, right, now how do I get it so that runs when these conditions are met, when it gets over 95% disks full or whatever? So I'll set up a little job that runs every 10 minutes to check. And then if it's over this, then it runs my report and blah, and then it pages me and whatnot. So that was my job. And that's how I ended up doing myself out of a job all the time. So like, I go in.
You kept automating your own position.
Yeah. And I actually said that in interviews as well. I said, my job is to do myself out of a job. Like, I'll come in, you've got all these fires. I will figure out what needs done. I'll firefight. And eventually, if something keeps happening, we'll figure out what's causing it. We'll put something in place so that your guys can fix it, or ideally it's automated so that it's fixed. Or even better, it never happens in the first place. And eventually I'll do myself out of a job. And obviously what happens then, they love that so much, I got the job. And then as I keep doing that, they're like, oh, can you do this part as well? Can you do this part as well? So I'd stay longer anyway, because they wanted me in the team. And then often I'd leave because of just like, there'd be rules that you can't have a contract more than 18 months or something, in the UK, because then they start getting holiday pay rights or whatever, sickness rights and benefits and things, whatever. And I didn't want that, and they didn't want it. So I'd move on. So that was my role as an IT dude for 15 years. And I was getting paid decent money, and I was bouncing around from city to country, ended up in Ireland. And then I realized, I was like, oh God, it's getting retiring now. This rolling a boulder up a hill. It's always the same boulder at the bottom of the hill that roll up to the top. When it's at the top, then I move to the next place to do the same. It's like, right. So I was getting sick of that. And I wanted to get out of that. It's like, how can I not have these big corporate clients? How can I actually help somebody that, I can see the whites of their eyes, that person, I'll actually help them. how can I build a business? I had thought of building a business of like DBAs, and I was like, God, I don't want to have like 10 DBAs working for me, be on a family barbecue, and then my pager go off. Because the reason it's gone off is because those 10 guys haven't fixed it, and it's escalated to me, and some system is down, and that's whatever. It's horrible. Don't even want to go there. So that's when I kind of fell into Google Ads in 2009. I was like, right, maybe I'll create websites for people. And so I created a website for a mate who was an electrician, had no work. I was like, jeeps, I don't like reading from books. You know, I didn't have that kind of job where I had the luxury to read from a book and figure out what's the best way to do this. The system's down, all the trucks with concrete cement going around is like, they don't know where to go. So it's all going to harden. You need to get the system back up, whatever. So I just thought, right, I need to fix a problem. Okay, my mate doesn't have any work. Right, there you go. So now it won't be like, do I use WordPress or do you use Drupal or do you use this or Joomla? Or it's like, get something up as quick as possible, bang, get it going. And he didn't have any phone calls. It's like, okay, it's more than just getting a website created, isn't it? So then it was like, SEO, I've heard of SEO now. So I started reading up on SEO. And as I did, like a voucher fell out of the book for Google Ads. I was like, what's this? It's €50 voucher for what? What's AdWords back then it was called. I was like, okay, I'll just load that into account. And I remember I was at on the IT floor wearing my suit, like just massive IT folks. And he rang, Andy, I've had a phone call. And I was like, oh my God, it works. I stood up when I was walking around. You weren't supposed to have a phone either on the floor. I was like walking around with a mobile phone. I was in shock, and he was in shock as well. He was delighted. And I was like, oh my God, that was like 2009. And that was me. So I went from corporate, which is great. I loved it. Loved what I was doing. But now I'm kind of applying those skills to helping people that local service businesses. I actually can speak to a business owner and they go, oh my God, we had loads of phone calls, or they say it's not working or whatever. But I can feel like I've helped them, or I feel like, the pain they're going through at the moment, versus big corporate where it's like
more personal for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So that's my backstory. Like, and that's 2009. So I got to here, and like, so I stack my skills and experiences on top of each other. So I was IT, I was good at IT, I was good at systems and processes and whatnot. So when I come to Google Ads, it's like, found there's a certain style of campaign where you can build out, like you can use Google Sheets or Excel, or I'd wrote a little program as well. Like we built, so it would be go really long tail. So you're very analytical, so you'll get all this. Like, so if you've got like 40,000 locations in the US, and you've got the word plumbers, I'm going to create 40,000 ads. And then you have the word electricians. Well, that's another 40,000. Yeah. So if you've got all the different types of lawyers, family lawyers, immigration lawyers, divorce lawyers, drink driving lawyers, all of those plus 40,000, bang, I can create the permutations and boom, load it up.
And so then instantly basically zone in, not basically when you're doing 40,000 combinations, it's not even 80-20, right? It's like what Perry Marshall says, like it's 99-1, right? Out of those 40,000, basically 40 are going to give you 90% of your.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you can guess where all the volume's going to be. Most of the people are searching for plumbers in Chicago, maybe, because it's a massive city, but it could be super competitive there and you don't get any volume there. So like for the same bid price, for all the locations, you might find, and it'll be a surprise. You go, whoa, why are we getting so many over there? Or why are we getting so many, like, whatever, water damage restoration in that city this week? Oh, they've had a storm. That'll be why. So that's a bit of a tip, is like try and build on top of your skills. Okay. So I've stayed in that kind of business, doing those kind of campaigns for 13 years, I guess it is now, building long tail campaigns, making use of the fact that I'm so familiar and comfortable. Like Google Sheets is easy. Like, I don't really need to write programs to generate these campaigns anymore. It's small enough, but I can just churn it out. And then last week I got my 14-year-old. He started running the reports on a Monday, send to clients and paying him 25 euros. He's flipping delighted. He wants to buy a wallet now. Opening a bank account.
I remember. I think you did have you sent through a little email update with saying that. Yeah,
he's delighted. The 11-year-old put him to bed the other night, and he was like, when can I start doing reports? His big eyes. I was like, right. If Daniel gets a bit more advanced, starts building campaigns, then he'll move away from the reports. When do you think that will be? Well, technically, I'm not allowed to employ you till 40, but I'm sure before then.
Yeah.
And then, so once he starts being flush with the cheese, whatever, like the 10-year-old would be like, excuse me, when can I? And actually, I've been saying, because they love YouTube, they sit watching YouTube. They know more about YouTube than me, and they've given me advice. It's like, at the end of your video, you should really say blah blah, subscribe to the channel. It's like, what? How do you know all this stuff? And they start messing with making little videos, and it's stop animation videos with software. And I'm like, right, some of our clients, carpet cleaners, they need some videos. Maybe you could do them. How much you pay me per video? I'm like, damn, what am I training up here now?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to. I was reading what you wrote. So okay. So you obviously got this job, systems analyst. You're very technical. You're doing that Google Analytics consulting as well. You're also helping kids or young folks with maths. So you've got the highly analytical mind. And right. So what am I thinking? The consulting. If I was growing a consultancy where every client I took on, which is what I've been doing for the last 13 years, every time a client I took on was completely different, and it needs my brain to go in and speak to the business owner, trying to figure out what you're trying to sell, what's your main product, blah, blah, blah. Let's load some ads, and your ads, the structure of your website is different from that guy's website. You've got like 1,000 products, and you've got like whatever. If they're all different, I couldn't get any of my kids to do anything on that. But if it's all, for instance, carpet cleaners, here you go, here's the SOP. Just work your way through this. I've got all the tools, and I can sit out, watch them doing it, and they're flipping out. They're fast on the mouse because they've been playing Fortnite and whatnot.
It's crazy. Like it's not too many years ago, I was a teenager, and then when I was 16, 17, 18, like I knew all the latest stuff that the kids know, right? The best graphics card and the best the shortcuts on the keyboards. And now I feel like like you say, like the 10-year-olds know way more, and like the technology like no longer just works for me. Like I don't know if it's me or whatever, but like I feel old with technology now. It's I'm getting to that point where I'm like, typing like this, and it's but I don't know if that's supposed to happen, or if it's me regressing or technology just speeding up so fast.
What it might be? It might be that you're actually going higher level, the way what you're interested in, less of so my kids are like looking at all the graphics cards. I'm thinking of getting a new laptop. They're saying this graphic card is better than that. I'm like, really? What are you talking about? I'm like, this is the 11-year-old. But I don't want to get into the weeds like that anymore.
Exactly.
So it's great for me to say, like, he figured out which monitor to get me. I was like, go and figure that out. And he was like, oh yeah, it is better than the one in the shop. That's amazing. We ordered it online and came, and it was brilliant. So like, there you go. So I offload that. So is that me getting dumber with, I used to be an IT guy. No, it's me. I'm now thinking differently, and I'm happy to let someone else do that.
Exactly. So, right. And if they're happy to do it, then why not?
Yeah. So what's your plan? You're going to get the job in New Zealand, systems analyst. It's going to be like pretty busy, I would have thought.
Yeah, I would imagine. Like I've started already just remotely, and we're relocating in a couple months. Again, before I left New Zealand, I worked for 4 years also as an analyst, just data, performance, all of that, for New Zealand's biggest dairy company. And then kind of in the last 2 years, 3 years now since 2019, 2020, I finally, like after I left New Zealand, I left Fonterra, that was a dairy company. I had some time I was unemployed, so I had a lot of time just to myself to get into entrepreneurship, business, and at some point, that's how I stumbled across MJ DeMarco's books. I read those, hopped on the forum, and basically that's how I came across your posts, all your work as well, which I was just like, wow, this is like when I remember just completely binging all of your, the Google ads 101, the theory behind it, your mindset with it, but also like all the technicals of how do you do it, explaining that it's one of the things that has stuck with me to this day is like landing pages don't convert, people convert, right? And so anyway, that's how I kind of came across your work. That's why I'm here. Then in 2020, I also stumbled somehow across agriculture. I had nothing to do with it ever before. I just basically thought, okay, hey, in the future, like if my parents want to buy some land somewhere, you know, agricultural, what can we do with farming? I had no idea. And I stumbled across an entire kind of field, probably an overlooked field of agriculture. It's called regenerative agriculture, but it's not a standardized, like well-defined niche. Basically it's and I don't want to rant about it, because if I rant, I will take a week. So the TLDR in 2 sentences is like, the current way we as a planet and as a society have been doing agriculture is great in terms of volume of output, but it's really bad for profitability for our planet. It's not very sustainable, and it's not very resilient, and which is, for example, to things like climate change, to things like the droughts that we're seeing, fertilizer prices, supply chain disruptions. It's really hurting. And this way of farming and this way of mindset, the regenerative mindset, is basically, I spent all of 2020 basically studying that, from the science to the economics to the current state of the field. And it's something, I think, out of all my pieces of work, that's the one I'm most kind of passionate about. I don't know if that's because I haven't actually worked in it professionally yet, or if it's really something there. But say between my analytical work, which I really like, between my tutoring, and then between agriculture is the one that I'm always even more actively kind of in my heart looking for little opportunities with. But then, okay, then in 2021, basically a friend and a colleague in New Zealand who had been doing full-time tutoring for high school teenagers, he does purely maths. He reached out. He, for example, probably like your friend back in the day, he's really good at what he does. He's a really great tutor, but he knew nothing about WordPress, how to set a website, how to buy a domain, how to run a Google Ads. And I just kind of put 2 and 2 together, and he asked me, hey, can you help me make a website? And I was like, website, clients, people, Andy Black. Okay, Google Ads. Blah, blah, blah. So we set that up, and then just like your story with the friend on the call, like we, pretty shortly, like I think it was like 30 or 50 or maybe like $100 in ad spend, we got a first client, a random stranger typed in a search, came to Google, ended up a paying client, which again, in tutoring, it's pretty nice because, you tutor somebody weekly or bi-weekly or whatever, but they stay with you for a year or 2, or if you're good and you don't piss off the parents, they stay with you until the end of their high school. So it's like thousands, maybe even tens of $1,000s of lifetime revenue from a client, for $100 ad spend. To me, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And so we kept running that. I kept evolving it. I think I hit massive perfectionism there, where we were like, I had to have the best copy, the best USB or whatever, right? And we still ran it. I think all in all, I looked at it recently, and we've spent something like $500 or $600 in advertising. And from that, we got something like 4 to 6 to 7 paying clients. I mean, the ROI is like tenfold or more. It's really good, and it makes a lot of sense. Now, right now I have 2 or 3 tutoring students of my own. I don't have time anymore to handle that many more. I can't mentally handle it. Maybe I could, but I need to manage my personal time and energy a lot better to do that. But my friend, he's still doing that full time. And so one of the pieces of work that I have that I don't have that much, or perhaps I haven't made that much time for, is getting him more students, getting that more standardized into kind of, so one, raising his and mine one-on-one rates. So right now we're charging in USD probably about 60, something like $50 to $70 an hour. That's about 90 to 100 New Zealand dollars an hour, which is great. But again, there are people charging twice or even triple that per hour of effective work for one-on-one. We want to move into group lessons, and then possibly online programs. But again, that's kind of further down the line. My personal drive, and with tutoring and my friends, again, we overlap a lot, not on everything, but a lot, is I'm personally like, it's sad and very frustrating to see how, frankly, quite bad our education is right now. Like, I don't know, I haven't worked in it to understand, say, the root cause, but it's too standardized. Kids rely too much on tutors, teachers, workbooks, you know, calculators. Like I've had, 14, 15, 16-year-olds, when I ask them, I don't even ask them, like, you have to do, 3 times 7 or 5 times 7 or 8 times 3. They literally reach for a calculator to do, I'm not joking. I've had somebody do 16 times 2 or 16 times 20. No, sorry, 8 times 2 or 8 times 20 or 16 divided by 2 on a calculator. They reached, so their instinct, like, it's faster than to do it on a calculator, which is, I mean, that's fine, but it's I think why I'm frustrated when I'm working with students is I just wish that the kind of the empowerment that I feel when I'm doing maths and science, I feel like I know how to figure something out for myself. And I know that if you leave me alone and I don't have a tutor and I don't have a mentor, I will be able to learn, especially a standardized curriculum for something where the curriculum is super well defined for a high school subject. And the exams, you basically know exactly what they're going to ask. You know, you have 20 years of past papers and all the answers to them. Like, I don't want to teach the content per se. I just want to kind of, I don't know how, but get that across to students that like, I just want to like grab them and shake them, or effectively, right? And just say like, look, you can do this yourself. You don't need me. You don't need a tutor. You just, like, here's how to figure it out for yourself. And this is the best way. It hurts at first, but then like you're basically free from tutoring for the rest of your life because you can just figure it out yourself. And then my friend's additional viewpoint is like, a lot of these kids don't get, well, just like me, just like him when we were that young, they don't get why it's actually important to do this, why it's important to invest in their own education. And so I think that's kind of the tutoring part. With analytics, I did have one more thing. So I got this job, which is great. We're going to be moving back to New Zealand, which is great. Additionally, we just also started at the same time. I got a part-time, I guess, contractor project for about 6 months, also with a New Zealand company through a past connection. So basically, it's a small company. Their full-time data analyst left. They don't want to hire a full-time employee, so they just we did a 2 days a week kind of pure contractor. But that was great because we had to do that through like a business to business. So we have a registered company, we have all the insurances, so it's now an actual business to business project, which is also really great. In analytics, basically, in my past 2 jobs and with this, from what I've seen, there's 2 things that there's 2 main parts to kind of data and analytics. One is a company has a whole bunch of data sitting in various places. It's never linked together. It's always manual. It's always talking apples to oranges. And so the first quick win is just to get all that data systematized, automated, and in the same place so that senior stakeholders all the way down to operational frontline workers have a real-time accurate visibility of kind of everything they need to do without having to spend 5 hours a week just manually, copy pasting Excel reports or whatever have you. That's it's simple to do. It just takes time and you have to do that. But once you do that, the second big win is, well, actually using that data to make business decisions. So instead of just having that data visibility, which again, the value to a business of, let's say, saving 5 hours a week of manual time is not that great. It's only 5 hours a week of just saved man hours. But what you can get out of that data, for example, if you get what we did at Fonterra, like one of the reports that I helped build was I created scripting to create a report that gave visibility of certain risks that could potentially delay a giant order of milk, or like multiple containers of like dairy powder or whatever. They could delay it by 2 weeks or even get rejected by a foreign government at the port, which is many tens of thousands of dollars avoided potentially just because of this report. but you couldn't have this report before the code was written because like it's just impractical to manually run it. And then, so that's kind of reducing or eliminating risks and eliminating unneeded costs just because you have extra visibility of data. And then the second bit is on the not reducing costs, but on the better revenue. Let's say, you know, you have that 80-20 curve. How can we use data to really like nail the 80-20s and say, cool, you're undercapitalizing this client or customer. You could be selling a lot more of this, or like this is your highest margin items, and then this is your most, you know, nuisance causing items. So it's actually using data to make kind of real world business decisions. And from reading, because I was applying to jobs about 3, 4, 5 months ago, so many businesses are in the same place. They have all this data, it's sitting in various locations. It's always the same problem. You know, somebody needs to run the reports. The reports started as a little Excel file, and now they've grown to 20 different Excel files, and they're really big, and nobody has time to do it. And if we can streamline it, that's a really big win. So many data analysts jobs are on LinkedIn and job websites. And so I'm thinking if we could pitch something like this data contract that we're doing, actually as a small family business now, we could get other clients that way. Again, whether that's through directly applying to that job through LinkedIn, probably Google Ads as well. I don't know, but that's my thinking. And then, okay, and the third one, so with regenerative agriculture, I've talked to a lot of companies and farmers and people in this field, and it's a very strong, it's just not very known about. It's a field that, yeah, like a lot of people are individually doing a lot of great things in it, and there's a lot of formal science that supports it. The problem is the formal science and the big funding from, you know, big ag companies, the big fertilizer companies, pesticide companies. Regenerative agriculture and the methods that it employs are basically in direct competition with the huge funding for agriculture right now. And so if a farmer, and when farmers, and you know, read hundreds of case studies and spoken to probably a dozen or so directly, farmers who successfully adopt and implement regenerative agriculture methods, they do make more money in their own, they become more profitable and more resilient and more independent. The problem with that is, why would an agriculture company who's getting $100,000 a year from that farmer year after year after year, why would they ever fund and support and promote research that helps that farmer detach themselves from that company, if that makes sense? And so it's been kind of a big rabbit hole and a bit of a red pill for me in agriculture, but that's why it's why I'm so passionate about it, because it just seems like it's basically a win-win for everybody, but most of all for the farmers. And so, but I tried to pitch, not really pitch, but I was speaking with one consultancy in Oregon who have been doing this for decades. They consult farmers, they test their soils to kind of adopt, basically become more regenerative and everything that goes with it. And I started to telling them about kind of advertising and paid advertising. And I showed them that, hey, like right now, farmers are searching for this. And here's the competitor's advertisement that basically there's no competition, right? On Google, there's no competition. The farmer, when they Google this, they end up, you know, in the wrong hands, basically. They end up stuck with these companies forever. But the reply I got from that particular company was basically like, you know, the CEO doesn't really believe in paid advertising, or doesn't want to give money to Google, to big bad Google for advertising. So again, of course, not all of them are like that, but it's this image of like, we got to do everything organically, we got to do everything word of mouth. And so it was interesting, because to me, it's like, well, if there's a lot of money in it. It's a gigantic, I believe, underdeveloped field all over the world. Farmers are already paying hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars a year to all these companies. And, you know, from all this vast majority of farmers and case studies that I've read, you could basically over 3 to 5 years, and then long-term forever, you save a farmer, whatever, 50% of their input costs, which to them is tens, hundreds, or millions of dollars. It's like, so the market, I feel, is there, and it's also good for the planet, blah, blah, blah. So it's like a win-win for everything except the huge companies that basically have farmers under their systems. But anyway, so that's kind of, sorry for kind of rambling so long.
No, that's good.
That's the three directions.
That's good. That's good. Right. So there's 4 things. You've got a job as a systems analyst coming up, and you're doing the tutoring, and that's making money, and that could ramp up where you actually don't have to do the tutoring, but you generate the leads and you build a business, and you're kind of passionate about helping the kids to, the main skill that they learn is being able to figure stuff out on their own. Yeah, I've done maths tutoring as well, helping kids to pass their exams, hopefully to pass their exams. And yeah, I've seen the same thing where you're asking something, they reach the calculator immediately. I'm like, no, give me the phone, give me a phone. Let's not do that. Like, try and work it out. And a lot of them, like you say, they're just like, oh, I can't do that. But I remember I got a massive buzz when there was a guy and he just wanted to be a mechanic. When I say just, but he wanted to be a mechanic. Another lad wanted to join the army. They were the funniest guys I tutored. They're always messing and joking. And I remember at the end, him saying, when I say just want to be a mechanic, it's like you wouldn't expect you need loads of maths for that. You know, he just wanted to pass, so he could because he just wanted to be a mechanic. And before he did the exam, he said, Andy, if I fail, I'm going to do it. I'm going to resit it because I know I can do it. I was like, oh my God, that's from I can't do maths to I know I can do this. So that was a big thing for me. I've done the analytics side is interesting because I've been a database administrator. So I looked after data, but also I had to get reports to run through from start to finish so that the sales director could present to the meeting, and they'd hover at your door. You'd be like, okay, hello, how are you? You'd never see you unless there's a problem kind of thing. There's a report, I need something to do. Okay, so I'll try and figure out and get the report through. And then you end up getting sucked into trying to optimize the report so it actually runs faster, and then you get sucked into the data of like, actually, why are you even running that? We've got a report that does that already. Blah, blah, blah. I also had the idea, and I actually sent myself on a master's in sort of, I don't know, what was it? Computing for knowledge management or something. And it had business intelligence, all those sort of modules in it. I loved it. I was like, whoa, this is making better use of the data that I just manage. I just manage the bucket mostly, and I get a little look inside, but some people get in there into, I like that. My degree was actually maths, funnily enough. So I was like, so I'm teaching folks in maths and I'm analytical and IT. And what I found, and I thought was interesting, I'm just saying, bear this in mind, is that it's kind of a hard pitch to go in and say, look, we can look at all your data and tidy it up. And they're like, ooh, some stranger coming in to look at our data. And my thought was, well, look, they always want a DBA coming in to manage it and keep it running. And after a while, you end up looking after the data and speeding up reports. And then you could go in that way. I'll keep its systems running. We can speed up your reports and give you all this information that you maybe haven't seen before, create all these cubes of your data and your data warehouse and all this sort of stuff. The business analytics, intelligence, and data mining, and all that clever stuff. And I had books on that. I was getting really into it. And then I just found, like, when I was trying to sort of pitch it to businesses, they wanted a big background and team, and like if they were a big business with a lot of data, I just found they wanted like, oh, what, you're just a dude no, okay, so when I fell into Google Ads and I saw the amount of data that was for free in the Google Keyword Planner, that you don't need permission from a business to go to them. Just send them an email. Dude, I've seen your ad for such and such. You could be running, and I can see from the website that you're selling all these things. Here's a search volume for all that stuff. I looked at this, it's got massive volume. You're not even got an ad for that. You've got an ad for all these things, but everyone's looking for that. You don't need their permission. And it didn't cost, to send them that. And that goes right to the heart of like what the CEO is interested in. It's like, whoa, we can make more money. We can make more sales immediately by just, and you're talking an ROI argument immediately. It could cost you this per click to get these many visitors to this page to do this, such and such. And interesting, you were talking about the CEO goes, no, I don't want to pay Google. You don't want to talk to that bit. For me, it would be like, okay, no worries. Go and find some dude who gets it. who just goes, what? You can do what? I never didn't even know that was possible. Oh my God, bites your hand off, right? So don't
help
even
the people
bother with
already in motion, right?
Yeah, help people in motion. I made that note. Help people in motion. They're already in motion. They get it. They're like, so they bite your hand. You want to find the people who bite your hand off because they understand exactly what the value that you can bring to the table. And they go, and you can see it. They can see their eyes. They just go, oh my God, I didn't even, you can do what? And what about this? And their eyes go, oh, and could you do it for this and this and this? Oh my God, that's amazing. I didn't even know it was possible. That's brilliant. So once I found Google Ads and I was able to apply, no, it's not that complicated, the data. You know, as a data scientist type person, you'd be looking at it going, oh, I can do all this segmentation. You don't need to. You just show a business owner, or, oh, you're selling blue widgets. There's only like 10 searches a month for that on Google, but 20,000 searches a month for red widgets. You can just paint them red, can't you?
Difficult.
Oh, actually, they started off red and we paint them blue. Oh my God, whatever. You're giving that to the business owner. They love it. That's real-time market intelligence that they can act on immediately. And so I moved out and I just dropped all that business intelligence, data mining and stuff. I was like, no, forget that. I'm going straight for this, straight for the jugular. Businesses, it's sexy for them to make more money, just immediate. It's like, and I'll give you an example of like with data brain applying it is, had a client, they sold beauty products from an e-commerce website. They had 12,000 SKUs in the warehouse, 12,000 different products. 2,000 on the website, so I was creating ads for them, Google shopping ads, dynamic search ads for each of them. The dynamic search ads were running better than Google shopping, funny enough, but whatever. And then they were like, right, we're coming up to Christmas. Oh my God, we've got this big project to load all 10,000 products onto that aren't on the website, onto the website. We have to load them all up, then get you to run ads. And I was like, what? Just give me an Excel file of the product name, the brand name, and maybe the product brand name, whatever, if there's a certain name for the product. I'll load all these ads. And they're like, but where can you send them? I said, I'll send them to the homepage, but, and I was like, and then I'll tell you which is getting searched the most. All right, so overthinking the art of solving problems you haven't got. All right, so you don't have. So they were like, yeah, but what if we get visitors and they don't want to buy the thing? I said, we haven't got any visitors. So stop worrying about it. I'm going to tell you where the visitors will come from. Okay. So I pulled them up on that. I said, right, give me a little budget. I didn't even have to say, it's like, because they're already spending a significant amount anyway. It's like, okay, look, I'll just run this for a 100 euro test. Within 2 days, I was like, I reported back, what's a L'Oreal Steam Pod? Because I don't know what all these products are. And they were like, that's a 200 euro hair straightener. People are buying this already in the run up to Christmas as gifts. I said, right, you probably want to put that on your website. Yeah. It's not even 99.1. That's 1 out of like 10,000. Whatever that percentage is. Yeah. And maybe these other things. They're like, oh, yeah. Okay, brilliant. So they loaded those. So I could tell them what to load. Yeah, potentially I didn't have to run the test, but I wasn't going to do the keyword research for 10,000 products. I was like, give them to me, I'll load it up. It's trivial I'm sure it's trivial for you to knock something up in an Excel sheet, 10,000 rows. You get the formula, load it up into Google Ads, run it with a little budget, count the impressions, come back to them and say, right, that's what everyone's looking for. Looks like for the same bid price, we're in a decent high ad position for that. I'd probably get clicks, put all the budget to that product if you want, increase the bids or something, get the visitors. Actually, they didn't have the page. Right, go and get the page created, then we'll do that. So there you go. How's that for market intelligence in hardly any time without having to grab all their data and try and figure out what the data is for them? You're a different business. What have you called this field? What does that field? Why is that field not the same as that? These columns, for people watching, don't know what a field is in a database. It's like a column in an Excel file. That's supposed to be the same as that, but you called it different and it's slightly different. Why is there's all that issue you've got to get. So that is a consulting work. If you go do the data analytics for a business, it's bespoke to them. They've got their own disaster. Every single business has their own disaster of hodgepodge of stuff that's grown up, separated, joined together, Excel files. Some dude came in, wrote this, some other guy came in and wrote that. Someone else had a big good idea. New manager came in, scrapped that project, brought in something else. You try and piece all that together. They'd love it to be pieced together. To me, that's like, oh my God, you could not pay me enough. Me personally, I'm like, nope, I'm going away. I'm just going to focus on, oh, did you know that you guys that are selling some type of insurance or whatever, that there's more people searching for this than that? No, I didn't know that, Right, okay. and did you know, and you can do a screenshot. So there's like 20,000 people searching for that. Who's on there? And then you just show them their competitors. Oh my God, our competitors are mopping up all those 20,000 searches a month for that thing. And you don't appear anywhere, do you? You want the guy who goes, oh, that's no good. I need to be on that. Right, how do we do this? And boom, you've got a contract, set up Google Ads. But you don't just set up Google Ads. You use that analyst brain. This is what I'm talking about, building on your skill set. Right, so you've got Google Ads skills. You've got analytical skills. You can analyze data in the Google Keyword Planner or in their account. If they've already been running, you can analyze it, go, look, most of your conversions coming from branded searches, you know, your brand. I've done a search, done a filter, you can see, and you can do it on the screen with them. Most of them branded searches. Well, let's have a look at the non-brand, which you'd expect doesn't have as good a conversion rate and higher cost per CPA and cost per click and all that kind of stuff. Okay, look at them. Look at the ones at the top. They also, a lot of them seem to have this wording. It's like pull out all the ones that have that wording, whatever it is. Oh, look, they convert at a higher rate than all the ones that don't. Wonder why that is. And you know, so you literally can just 80-20 it. You just sort by impressions and costs and just look with the business owner and say, right, most of these seem to be this. And when they don't have that wording, they don't convert as well. But you spend quite a lot on the ones that don't have phone number in it or whatever they're, you know, the little phrase. So let's, yeah. So you can use your analytic skills to show them something that's kind of hidden from them, but is there, really simple to get to is what I mean. It's not like, let's grab all your data. Do I have permission to grab your data? They'd be like, no, you're not getting access to our account system and access to our sales system. And actually, you wouldn't even want to. You know, it's like, right, can I have a look at your Google Ads account? And whenever I've hopped on a call to just have a chat with somebody, just because I just do have a chat as an IT techie geeky art dude, and I say, look, maybe I could look over your shoulder. There's a screen, you do a screen share of your account. I'll have a look at it. They've never said no. They've always been, oh, brilliant, amazing. That'd be great if you could do that. Have a look at the account. I just showed them, have a look at the search terms. This is what people actually typed into Google when they visited your website. You've got all this stuff for snow removal. No, we're carpet cleaners. Okay, well, you probably didn't want that. We spent $200 last month on snow removal and we're carpet cleaners. What's going on there? I said, well, that's because you got this keyword. It's too broad and you don't like it. But you just show them data that is readily available, and you can go to the next business owner, do the same thing. And it doesn't have to be the same niche. It can be very different, but it's the same interface that you're looking at, the same stuff constantly from one to the next, from client to the next to the next. And it's, you know, you're telling them stuff, you're showing them where they're losing money and you're showing them where they can make money. And the right business owners' eyeballs are just going to turn into dollar signs. They're going to go, bing, oh my God, look, if you stopped spending all that money on snow removal, how much more money would you be able to spend, or how many visitors looking for carpet cleaning would you get for your budget? And they'd be like, oh my God. And your cost per acquisition would go down because you're not wasting it on blah. Therefore, you could bid more and get more of this and all that stuff. And it's just natural for you to understand the metrics. It's just, because it's quite simple metrics. And it's so then when you're just talking to these guys, you can just explain it in a way where they get it. And most of them, they get it straight away. The business owners, they get it. They're like, oh, you shouldn't be wasting money on that. And you go, but you don't have to say you shouldn't be wasting money on that. Do you do snow removal? No. All right, it's 200 quid last month on that. What about, you know, makeup? No, we don't do that. Well, that's because that word is kind of, Google's got confused. Yeah. So my gut would be the analytics stuff, leverage your analytical skills and maybe do something that business owners find super sexy, which is make money. Yeah, immediate, like tomorrow. Yeah, okay. You could create a campaign and then and make money potentially immediately. You can move the needle immediately. Like, so I took on a client recently and I think I've heard that they had to hire 30 more call center staff, phone calls in like the first month. Boom.
That's a big problem to have.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I moved the needle and what did I do? I looked at their account, which was already running maybe only a month. One campaign was driving everything and it was all on mobile. So, and I literally just did a 5-page PowerPoint, sent it to them. Bang, I just did 80-20. Boom, it's all on mobile. It's all that campaign. It's broken. I'll try and fix it. You're doing dynamic search ads. There seems to be an error. I don't know what it is. I can tell it happened on this date. I looked through the account. That's what I do. Boom, you're hired. So I turned everything else off, turned off desktop and tablet. I tried to rebuild the campaign. It didn't work. I had to build it a different way instead of dynamic search. I had to hard code all the things, which is kind of a better way anyway. And boom, it started working. And then I had to work with them, improve their landing page, then improve the landing page again because they just wouldn't listen to me. And then boom, they're off to the races, spending 12K a day or whatever, making 5,000 calls a week sort of stuff. Yeah, that was very, very quick that happened. And it took somebody with an analytical brain just to look at the data. And it was simple. It's simple for you. This is like easy peasy. You'd be like, why are these guys not seeing this? You know, it's not complicated.
So for those clients, you charge a monthly retainer thereafter, or only for one?
Yeah, for that one was charging 6K a month initially. Funny enough, I banged on about this about 2 months ago. Can you put in the report? It's a Google sheet. It's just a Google sheet. I download every Monday the daily stats, drop it in one tab, VLOOKUPs, pull it into the main thing or whatever. I do a pivot table and VLOOKUPs and blah, blah, blah. Easy peasy. I've made a little database out of the Google Sheets. They don't give me the revenue or actual calls. You know, it's like, I'm just going off what Google says, but I don't know how many of are those calls converting into sales and what's the revenue, what's the ROI, ROAS, return on ad spend. So they're like, oh yeah, we'll get that sorted now. It's like, okay, whatever. Surely if you're spending that much money, I can dial it in for you. I can make this better for you if you give me the data. And they're off doing other interesting stuff, which doesn't move the needle as much, but there we go. So I find that interesting. So my thoughts is that when you do analytics and going in, pitching into a business, like we can take your data and find you ways you could be more profitable. It's like, they don't know what those ways are. Yeah. And that's a promise. And my God, that's hard work for you to get all that data potentially. And it's going to be different from company to company, unless it's always going to be like your Salesforce data. I'm going to do this and I can find that. And then, you know, you do it every time, the same thing for each client. That's kind of what you want, not like, oh, now you've got a different system. Like this is, you're using HubSpot, you're using Salesforce, using this pain. Don't want that. You want to be known as the guys who just analyze this thing. But for me, I don't know, is it like 200 million a day spent on Google ads? My businesses, I don't know, something crazy that Google makes from Google ads. That's a lot of money being spent. If you can go into a business and help them to better spend their 100K a month spend, like the more a business is spending on Google ads, the more data I can look at and say, that's the little segment of data. Like, for instance, get a mad example, like might be, there's 50 campaigns. No, they don't do this. I would do this. I'd create one campaign per state in the US, and the ad would say, you know, payday loans, Texas, payday loans, Florida. So it's always going to the same page. Yeah. But the ad it pops more than everyone else's. I might be able to say, oh, that's odd. In Florida, on a mobile, it doesn't convert as well compared to like in Texas, you know, desktop's working really well, but not on, you know, so there's something up over there. Maybe you could change the particular landing page or whatever, but I would be able to spot that. Whereas the person who doesn't have a data analytics background and doesn't geek out on that stuff might not spot it.
Right. They wouldn't know exactly what to look for.
Yeah. It's not even a case of wouldn't know what to look for. You couldn't help yourself. You'll be like, look at all this data. Exactly. I'm going in. Yeah. And then you're going to find something and you're going to do exactly, and you mentioned Perry Marshall 80/20, you're going to exactly go in and find a little thing and go, by the way, that little thing might change. And there you go. That's your salary paid for the month because you've just, and CEO's delighted. You're his new best friend. I've had them say, oh, you're my new best friend, Andy. And then, are you working for anyone else on this? No, not in your space. No. Oh, good. You're my new best friend. You're my secret weapon. That's what you want, isn't it? Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that. The analytics. It doesn't mean don't do it. It means, I'm just saying, stack everything together. I think possibly for your analytics desire to like get into data and everything, Google Ads has loads of it, you know, and the more you're into that, the better at Google Ads you're going to be. The tutoring is already making you money, and you've said you can raise the price, you can have groups, you can have online programs. It's something I could see you are getting passionate about, and I am equally. That like kids are coming out and they haven't got the skill set to figure it out. They come out thinking, I can't do maths, and everyone's like, yeah, I can't do it either. It's like almost proud you can't do maths.
Yeah.
No, actually you can do it. It's just that maybe somebody hasn't sat with you and taught you in a way that makes you resonate. It's like maybe 5 ways to teach some whatever differential, do that calculus and stuff. Maybe 5 ways, and one of them resonates with one person. Boom, you found it, and that's what the one-on-one tutoring can do. And then the payoff for you isn't necessarily, well, obviously it's the money, but like at the end of it is some kid goes, I can do this. Jeepers, I can do this. Wow. For me, it's like, ooh, the hair come up on the back of my neck already, just thinking that kid who just goes, I can do this. You've set them up on a different trajectory through their life of like, jeepers, I thought I couldn't do this, but actually I can. It's just like, once I figure it out, if I think about it the right way, I can do this. And then exactly what you said, like, I passed my degree on like 2 weeks work a year, I think. I was voted person most likely to fail everything by all the other guys on the back row of the lecture theatre because I never turned up. I turned up one time and they're all like, is that you as well? I turned up like, they're all, I went to the back and my mate was like, funny enough, I knew all the lads there and I knew none of the other people. And they were like, we were just saying, who do you think's going to fail out of everybody here? And we were like pointing, and then one of the lads said, him, he's never here, as I walked in late. But what I did is I just printed off all the past papers for the last 5 years, printed off the answers, looked for, cut them all out, put them on the wall. Here's, show me age now, 1986, 1987, 1987. And I had them all blue tacked, all the questions, I chopped them all out. That was fun. Didn't involve much thinking doing that, sitting there with blue tack and scissors, put them on the wall, and I was looking at them going, they've used that word in that question, whatever that word is over there. I go, oh, question 1, right, so swap them. So question 1 seems to, whatever it is, sometimes it's 5, sometimes this always turns up, then this always turns up, then there's that half seems to turn up, and then that half seems to turn up. Right, I'm going to learn them. That's what I did. I just figured out what they're going to ask. It's likely to show up. Learn how to answer it, kind of by rote, but you obviously isn't fully by rote. But I just focused on that and managed to pass by the skin of my teeth.
But that's the 80-20, right? You're basically putting in 2 weeks a year, and maybe you won't get 100%, but you will pass and oftentimes get a pretty good grade as well for those 2 weeks, especially.
Yeah, and meanwhile, and she hated me for it. There was a girl, and she went through all the course notes from start to finish twice for everything, and she got the same grade as me.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good. I might steal that a little anecdote in an advertising or something. Andy, I know I'm just conscious of time. I know we're already about 15 minutes overbooked, and we're just
no, we're not over at all. We're not over at all because I haven't finished with yet.
Okay,
right. So the tutoring, my thoughts when all the things that you said, right? Job, obviously, steady income, great. Doing something that you're good at, skills, upskilling, and you're going to be tired mentally at the end of that.
Yeah,
systems analyst for loads of disparate legacy systems. That people, documentation, we ain't got any of that, right? You're gonna have to speak to Bob, but he retired 20 years ago, whatever, right? So that's going to be tiring. Good fun, hopefully paid, but come home, you're going to be knackered. All right, I think if grow what you know, there's a phrase I heard from a guy, grow what you know, like what is already working, grow that. So the tutoring, you do have passion for it. It's a thing that other people can get behind as well, like the parents. So like when you said you spent 500 quid, $500 and got 14 students or whatever it was, I can't remember. Some of those that you got were probably word of mouth from the ones that were successful. Like you get somebody's kid through and get their maths exam pass and onto the college or whatever. They are going to remember that. I'm going to tell everybody they know, their friends, their relatives, who has one of their kids is struggling with maths. They're going to instantly tell them, refer those people to you. It's that sort of thing. And if you've got, like, if your mission is, and literally you just kind of put down what your mission was and say it to the camera type thing, is from, there's so many people that they do this. And the problem is that they come out and they think they can't figure it out. And literally, what they're not being told is why it's important. You said that as well. And I'd say that to kids as well. Look, the reason why you're doing all this crazy stuff that you're never going to use again is they're just getting you to play a game. Here's a game. You just have to play the game, answer it, done. Then when you go into a job, you're going to realize that, oh, there's a different game. It's not the same. You have to be able to do this to get that done, and therefore you get your bonus or whatever, or to become a manager. You're gonna have to here's the game. This is what you're going to get judged on. So how do you answer it? And in fact, and that just reminds me, I sent myself on $2,000, and it cost me like a week's earnings. So it's 3K lost earnings. So $5,000 on a project management course. And the guy at the beginning, he was brilliant. He's one of these older dudes who's like just giving back. He's getting paid good, but he's been project manager, led companies, done this, and he's just teaching project management. He likes to get the young fellas or girls up to speed. And he said, right, project manager's job is just to pass a test. And we're like, we'll make a note. Well, what do you mean? He says, right, as long as you know what date the test is on. So on the 15th of November, you have to deliver 150 red widgets of this size. That's the test. So on that date, you will be tested. Have you delivered 150 widgets of that size? And your job is just literally just to pass the test. So you've got to find out what the test is going to be on that date. Because if you deliver 149, you failed. If you deliver blue ones, you failed. And if they go and change it later on, oh, no, we wanted yellow. You're like, no, back then you said you wanted red. So that's like, oh, no, we want red with like little wings on them. No, that's scope creep. It's called scope. Really, your job is to pass the test. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's exactly like maths degree. My job was just to pass the test and everything. But and what he was saying there was, you got to find out what the test is. It's got to be nailed. It's got to be written in stone. This is the test. On this date, you will be asked, you will be tested like this, and you will succeed if this happens. You go, okay, cool. You go off and do it. And I actually did say, so what if 150 red widgets isn't what the business needs, but actually needs whatever 10 blue widgets? And he goes, that's not your job. It's a business owner's job, or somebody else in the business, to actually create the right test. And you're the project manager. Your job is to deliver that. That's it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So even if it's like not the right thing for the business, and that makes sense, doesn't it? Because you're going to get your butt kicked for not passing the test. And then if somebody then says, yeah, but that hasn't helped the business, you go, but that's what you actually asked me to do,
So at what point do you tell them, sorry, quick question, that they actually, it's blue widgets that they need and not the red ones?
Oh, right. So me is like an Oracle DBA when they say, we're going to go off and do X, Y, Z. And I go, all right. So I think professionally, if I think X, Y, Z is not going to help them, they need to do ABC. I'll go in the meeting. Right. The problem with doing X, Y, Z is going to blah. So I think if you do ABC or do it this way, it will be better for you. If they then decide to go do X, Y, Z, I've said it. I've said my piece. I've let them know. I haven't just sat there going, that's going to be a good idea. And then afterwards, like, so when it go, if often when it, because you're the expert, you've been brought in to advise on it. If they go down, do X, Y, Z, and then have to double back because that thing you said would happened, and they double back and we do ABC. Us IT contractors, we call that stupid user tax. We didn't tell them that, obviously. It's like, well, that's stupid user tax. That's like, we spent 3 months doing the X, Y, Z. Now we're going to do 3 months doing ABC. I'm just charging, that's another 3 months. It's soul destroying after a while though. Yeah, we call it stupid user tax. Oh, and then the other thing is, it happens with Google Ads as well. It happens with everything, right? Where you'll say, look, I think, Mr. Client, I think you should do this. And they go, no, we want to try that. I've learned the best bet is to go, okay, cool, let's try that. Right. So they've heard you say, I think we should do this. So they say, we're going to do this. And you go, well, I think this would work better. No, we want to do this. Right. So they've heard you saying it. They've decided on something else, their original thing, and you agree with them. If it works, it's basically a win-win. If it works, you've learned that, oh, wow, who would have thought that thing? That's amazing. But, you didn't kick up a big ruckus and be like a prima donna saying, no, I'm an expert and, should do that. I've learned something and I'm happy to learn something. If it doesn't work, they're happy to now try what you said. Yeah. But like if they try if you manage to persuade them to do what you said, they're still in their back of their head. Oh no, I must test that other way. I've got this theory that yellow works better than that thing that you're thinking. Yeah. They're always, so you need to let them get it out of their system. And if it's right, brilliant. If it's wrong, they come over and do yours. And if that works better, then they're more inclined to listen to you in future. Anyway, so it's like, that's what I mean. It's a win-win.
Yep, I think I just made that
but
mistake.
But professionally, you have to speak up. There's no like at the end, oh, you know, I didn't think that was going to work. What do you mean? We just spent 3 months doing it. Why didn't you say? You know, your job is to say. But I'll typically say it once, maybe twice. Sometimes I'll bang my head against the wall. And that's why I don't like having clients ultimately. But right, so the tutoring, I think that stands out to me as kind of a bit of a passion project for you anyway, something you can get behind. You have tutored people. You are highly analytical. You have been at the coalface doing the work. You have a friend and you're able to generate leads for them. You actually said you're too busy. You can't. How many people need tutoring? It's like evergreen as well. There's so many, and every year there's going to be more. And like you're saving starfish. You know that one, like one starfish, throw it back into the water. You can't save them all, but you're saving people's lives. I think it's as dramatic as that. You're changing the trajectory of people's lives. It's huge. Yeah, and then the regenerative agriculture, that could be like, that's almost like, yeah, you possibly could work on that. But like for me, the common theme of them is maybe like the Google Ads lead generation, using your analytical skills plus your Google Ads to help your friend and your maybe partnered with in the maths tutoring grow into some beast. You know, that would get a massive and amazing PR because it's actually helping people, you know, naturally, and word of mouth. Okay. And then if you can use the same skill set and just apply that like laser to something else, which might be the regenerative agriculture, and go, right, you know, I'm doing that. And then, yeah, that guy who doesn't believe in running Google Ads, oh, okay, no worries, bye. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing at like, don't even bother trying to persuade somebody. Yeah. But like my first thoughts are like, that's again something that people would massively get behind. And is there a charity? Is there some sort of charity that would actually be really, really interested in you helping them to raise awareness of the thing? Because Google gives a charity, a Google grant, sorry, it's called, to charities, registered charities. They can apply, get a Google grant up to 10 grand a month for Google Ads. If they spend 10 grand a month, which is actually kind of hard to do, then they can get up to 40 grand a month. So you could be running ads on all those kind of phrases and not paying for it because Google's paying for it, of people searching for XYZ or farmers searching for this, that, and next thing, sending them to education pieces. You can only run the stipulations. It has to be on Google itself. You can't run display ads. Maximum cost per click, maximum bid is $2. You have to have over a 5% click-through rate. So you can't just like throw out ads everywhere and just hope, blah, you know, there's a few, and it's kind of easy to stick to the guidelines. But like, are there businesses out there that are charities that are, if you could help them, it would help the world with this regenerative agriculture?
I didn't even know about that one. Thank you for that. I will.
Yeah, but it all. So what kind of like when you look at it, it looks like, oh my goodness, it could be a lot of stuff going on. You even apologize. Oh my God, there's so much stuff. They've got a job, got tutoring, got agricultural analytics. But like, can you find a common theme that is you in the middle of like, and you build all your skills? All right, I'm analytical. I've got Google Ads, and I'm sure loads of other skills. And you're good at explaining stuff, you're good at talking to people, passionate about stuff, and I want to help tutoring, and we're building this business here, and I'm kind of, that's my case study for the Google Ads, and I can help you with the Google Ads or help raise awareness of this, because Google will give you 10 grand a month of ads. Like, what do you mean? Oh, there you go. And look, here's the keyword research, or the people search for this, that, and next thing. So that's leaning into your data analytics side. And you're creating kind of like a win-win or a common, you know, so you're working with somebody, you're helping another business or charity or whatever to do that thing using your skill set that you're super good at. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I had a couple or a few just like rapid fire questions.
Yeah, go on.
If that's all right. So, hiring, like, yeah, hiring assistants or helpers versus just kind of trying to do it all myself versus getting, let's say, family members. Here in Mexico, I can hire a pretty good college graduate for, it's basically free. It's unfortunate, but basically it's, I don't know, like $8 to $10 an hour. I can get a really, and there's it's cheap to hire people here. Is it worth, let's say, for this data contract where the majority of the work is just very rote, like instruction following, update a pivot table in Excel, save it to the SharePoint, blah. Is it worth getting somebody else to do that? Especially, let's say, at the start when we just have our first contract, or is it better to, are the risks of somebody external, third party, messing something up or doing something bad, do they, is it worth it, basically, in your experience?
That's an interesting one. Okay. I wonder if I'm not sure I can answer this specifically, because you're gonna have to work out way up the pros and cons. I like doing the work. I'm a techie. I enjoy doing the work. I might have issues where I don't release the work and trust other people to do it so much. So that might color so my thinking would be, I would want to do the work, create the SOPs, and yes, maybe then get other people to follow them, because that's what I used to do. I used to I'm the guy. So you get a senior guy who figures out what needs done, figures out possibly how to do it, does it a few times, documents it, and then you can get a more junior person to do it. Yeah, great. That's exactly what I'm sort of doing. I'm potentially going to get my kids who are like teenagers and pre-teenagers to help. And like me even thinking, right, they're wicked smart, and they can follow procedures, but they're not going to have my consulting skills. Actually is helpful. That constraint is helpful. It's like, well, what kind of business, what kind of stuff could I do that means it's a productized service? That's what, so off the shelf, this one's carpet, this one's like roof repairs, this one's whatever. So they just pull it out, boom, 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 go through the process. And in fact, I'm going to get a 14-year-old to create the SOPs as he goes. I said, right, so I'll train you. This is the document you fill in. I've made the template, and he goes, oh, is there an SOP? I'm creating SOPs. It's like, clever clog, shut up. Yeah. So I don't know if that's answered it. I would bear that in mind, definitely. When you get to a point where there's something that you're doing daily and it's tedious, then yeah, get somebody to do that and free yourself up to do the next thing, and so that you move up and you stop doing, like, so me doing weekly reports is daft. It's just daft, me getting data from here and putting it into there, whatever, sending it off to clients when it's the same thing every week. Okay, so get someone else to do it. So yeah, once you get a process done, outsource it. The other thing that kind of just lends itself to, right, so if you can try and get clients where the work for each is kind of very, very similar, even if they're possibly even in different industries, it's like, oh, like I said, you're using Salesforce. You've got a thing, we can load this up, we can download that, we can have a pivot table, it spits out the such and such, and we can do it on a weekly basis. And then you can automate mostly. And then if you can't, the bits that you can't automate, you get other people to do it. Boom, you can create this little machine that can keep doing it. And I think that'd be, I think that would be the way to go.
All right, cool. So yeah, it depends. And all right. Another one. So like, say with this contract that we got, it's 6 months, and in the contract it's stipulated, it's at some rate per hour, maybe I think 60 USD an hour, more or less, up to 16 hours a week. And I guess for 6 months, and it has a contracted cap. Now, I've heard, and my instinct is to just do the best possible work that I can, do what they've contracted me to, but also then on top of that, suggest the best, most efficient improvements that I can possibly do for them as fast as I can, as soon as I can. And perhaps making myself obsolete. But then I've also heard that, hey, like, don't do it all so fast, because you'll run out of work, and then there'll be no more work to do, and so they won't pay us. So in your experience, like, because you did mention that basically you do it really well, you make yourself obsolete in one little bit, and then they say, oh, okay, great, can you do this other thing, can you do this other thing? So in your experience, is it a really big risk that the work is actually going to run out, or
no? I would go with the former. Me personally, I'll do the first, where you do it to the best of your ability, and they go, my goodness, this dude is a rock star, and let's give him more stuff.
Great, cool.
16 hours a week. What are you, crazy? Get him doing more. Jeepers. Like, look what he's done. What can he do if he works full time? Oh, he's got a team. He's like done. And then they move on to their next business. The number of IT contracts I got was because the hiring manager moved on somewhere else, settled in, and went, oh my God, this. And actually, I had the phone call, and this place is a disaster. Oh, really? Like, I've gone back to England. I was having a holiday. I put my parents. Can you come back to Ireland? I've gone to another business, and honestly, I don't even want to stay here. It's such a mess. It's right up your street. Fires all over the place. Oh, really? So, you know, they're hiring you. It ends up being they hire you, and if you're that rock star, there's so few that stand out. And then because it's not just that they stand out because they're technically good, but having that mindset of like, I'm going to do the best damn job I can, versus I'm going to protect and hoard all the knowledge. So I would document everything. I would create like an asset register listing all the how-tos, and it's like a simple, goodness, it was an Excel sheet back then. It will be a Google sheet now, so everyone get access to it. And you just click, and it's the how-to, and it says the description, how to do blah blah blah. And they click the link, boom, up pops the Word doc, Google Doc. As simple as that. And that's how I was doing stuff, using Excel sheets, and maybe it was a Word doc, I can't remember. It wasn't in their big fancy system of this, that, and the next thing. And the boss was like delighted, because this is interesting. Some of my learning's being an IT contractor. Your job is to make your boss look good and sleep well at night. Yeah. You make him look good and sleep well at night, because if you think about it, you don't work for that company. You work for the guy who signs your timesheet.
Yep.
Yeah. You make him look good and sleep well at night, he's going to sign your timesheet every day. You start going, oh, we should have been getting meetings undermining him, saying this could be done faster. We should have told you not to do that, blah, blah, blah. He's not going to like that at all. But you make it look, he's just going to want you in his corner all the time if he trusts you. And also being an IT dude and being dated, it's the same. Safe pair of hands. They want a safe pair of hands at the helm. They don't want like technical genius, but who's like dangerous to have around the systems.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so how did I come across as a safe pair of hands in my interview? I'd be talking about, well, systems and processes, and, you know, I like to document things as I go along, so that if I ever have to do it again, well, so I've got repeatability, I've got, what was it? Visibility, traceability, repeatability of what's happened. I've got screenshots of before I did the change, I've got screenshots after, I've got date and time and all that kind of stuff as I go along. That's how I work. And they're like, oh my goodness, who is this guy? Nobody does that. And then I bring a portfolio. This is some examples. Right, there you go. You can see at that time it was this, at that time it was that. And so the log file, I don't just echo what the command was. I put time, date and time as it, so you can follow through and see that it wasn't my report that caused your thing to fall over, because mine was finished by then or whatever. So I automate as I go, I document as I go, try and make repeatable processes. I can always go back and, oh, I have to do that thing again. I did it 3 weeks ago. I can follow through what I did then. Oh, I keep doing this. I've got a repeatable process. It goes in my asset register. Somebody can read it. This is not IT. This is not my IT skills, but this is what the hiring manager is like. Music. It's a breath of fresh air. Music to their ears. That's what they want to hear.
Off their shoulders.
Yeah, it's a weight of, oh my God, thank God I've got some dude who's going to actually tidy this place up, and I can trust to get on with it and not screw stuff up and all this sort of stuff. And then they can tell their bosses, I know, we got it in hand, and he can sleep better at night and all that kind of stuff. And the other thing, just a wee tip, how I used to send emails to like a system would be down, they'd want a report. I'd send a short thing, it'd be an email, right? It fell over because of this, the root cause was that, we fixed it with this, more details below, because they don't want to read all the details to find out what the conclusion was. It's here too long, didn't read thing. They want the thing so that in their meeting, they can go, right, system fell over, it's down for 30 minutes, it came up, blah, 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 the outage was this, we lost that amount of thingy, the root cause was like, the issue was disk filled up for such and such, we've ordered new disk, but in the meantime, we got like alerts sent to the DBA pager on the such and such. We're also writing scripts, going to automate the clearing down until the disk arrives, and brilliant, okay. That's it. That's their, you know, the incident is resolved, and it goes around the meeting. But if someone says, oh, so how do you know it's like 1,500 of the such and such was lost? And I heard it was 20,000 things. Right. Okay, I've got the appendix because it's attached, because that's what Andy does. Right. So here's the thing. And below it is like, this is how I arrived at there was 3,000 lost in 30 minutes. It was because this to this, blah, 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 blah. So all that stuff, as I was investigating, I documented as I went along. I attached in the appendix below, and boss can be in there with it printed out. Right. What's your next question? Look, I've got it. So it gets to the point where, oh, so Andy said such and such. Okay, we just believe him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not IT skills. That's like soft skills. That's like being a bit smart. That's playing that game.
That's just process, discipline, kind of.
Yeah, but it's that thing, that game of like, well, how do I pass that maths exam? How do I keep my contract renewed? Well, he wants to be able to sleep at night, and he wants to look good in the meetings and not have any outages in the first place. But when he has an outage, he wants to be able to explain it immediately, and it's back, all that kind of stuff. That's how I'm going to get my contract renewed. They do not like the guys. They don't want to hire the guys, and they don't want to keep the guys who like hoard the information and go slow. They hate it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So that's something I definitely I haven't done that great. I'll make sure to have it up polished really well. All right, cool. And hey, finally, a quick books recommendation. So obviously, like, I've read MJ's books. I really resonated with them. I think that since I read them a couple of years ago, it's always been like the fundamentals, right? That sense framework, or basically the basics, the fundamentals, right? I've tried to keep them in my head. You know, any other kind of books, not just on business and advertising, but in general, that have helped you a lot, or that you use? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah. There's a few. I've actually only got a few books. One of them is Unscripted, which I haven't read yet, that I've kept on my shelf. I've binned a load. Right. I've got Anything You Want by Derek Sivers. Really short book. Brilliant on an Audible. I haven't even read it. I bought it because I was going to listen to it and read it at the same time, because it just held retention. But super short, and the guy is just, his delivery, the way he tells his stories, it's great. I love it. Really short. Anything You Want, Derek Sivers. Obviously, 80/20 Sales and Marketing, Perry Marshall. I think you maybe already read that if you're analytical. That's a good one. What else I've got? I've got Work Less, Make More by James Schramko. I like that. And 2 by John Warillo, I think. One is called Built to Sell, and the other is called The Automatic Customer. And when I read books, I just need one takeaway from them, really. And sometimes I get the one takeaway within like 5 pages, and I put the book down. And I say, "Oh, jeepers, I need to go and do that." And I never finish the book. Yeah, and often the same with courses. I'll get like 1/3 of the way through, and then like a year later, I've not, because so that's what you're looking for, really. So the thing about Built to Sell, like my main takeaway from it, so I think it's worth reading. He's now 14, but I think he read it when he was 12, because he'd read everything in the house. And he's like, "What can I read? This was like a story." And now he's talking about, he's like saying stuff to me. I'm like, how do you know this stuff? It's because he's read the book. He's like, "Maybe your clients, you should be doing this with them." Really? Thanks. Yeah, it's good. It's like, stop nagging me. I will get around to it, will you? But I think it's in the appendices, maybe, where he says a little story. And I think I've dropped this in the Fastlane forum, where he's on a course or a workshop given to people, and to be in the room, you have to be doing over $1 million a year revenue. So it's like reasonable sized businesses that these business owners are running. They've got a guest speaker. He comes in, and he says, "Right, who here is doing the sales for their business?" Everyone's proudly putting their hands up. "Yep, I still do sales. I'm still at the front line. I'm able to do that." And he goes, "Right, you're all selling the wrong product." And they're all like, "Oh, what do you mean?" He goes, "Your job is to sell the business. You need to make the business, create a business that can run on its own, that doesn't need you, that has all the systems and processes and like recurring revenue, customers, but all that kind of stuff. You as CEO, that's what you're selling. You're not selling your product or service. You're selling your business. Someone else should be selling your product or service. Your system should be selling your product or service. Your salespeople that are trained up go through the SOPs." Yeah. Boom. Yeah, that's my aha moment. That's a slap around the head. It's like, yikes. And I'm an ex-SOP automation systems processes dude in a team that did that. I specialized in that. I was like, oh my God, I've been flipping on all the sales calls. I'm doing all the builds. I'm doing all the thing, like partly because I love it, but because I'm a techie at heart.
Yeah, we like doing the actual nitty gritty, messing with the little gears. Like I think that's never going to be.
But
totally
if you pick the right business model, where like, so for instance, for Google Ads, you can get it set up. If you can dial it in, it could keep working, because it's like that. It's not like Facebook ads where you're showing to all a certain segment of people, demographics and other interests. And after a while, maybe all of them have seen it. So your ads, you have to refresh them and change things. With Google Ads, like 2009, people looking for washing machine repairs, Dublin. Still looking for washing machine repairs, Dublin. It's still the top keyword. The ad is still the same, Dublin washing machine repairs. The landing page is still the same. The ads have changed. Like, I haven't touched them in years. I've still got old keyword match types actually that have depreciated, but Google just modified broad, but now calls them phrase. And I don't want to change them in case the system barfs and doesn't like it anymore. They've got history, but I make the ads bigger because Google makes the ads bigger over time. So that's all I've done. Take advantage of new features. So it lends itself to me going, oh, that's interesting. Let's set this up. Oh, I love that. And it continuously makes money, So I can set up all these spinning plates and have them continuously making money while I'm spending the time playing with the kids and whatever. But now I'm like, right, I need to now the kids are older and they're actually now interested in all this stuff. So I'm now working with agencies and they subcontract the work to me. So they do all the sales. It's great. They just bring the client. They do all the customer relations and account management. I build the campaigns. It works for them. I get paid a flat monthly fee. And even today, an agency just said, right, here's another one, like another 500 quid a month, 7th of them that they brought in fifth in about 2 weeks that they brought.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh my God, I've got to figure out how to build these campaigns in such a way that I can write the SOPs or have the tools. I'll get my 14-year-old to build them. Yeah. And once they're done, okay, there's dialing in, but then they should just run. Okay. So I'm leaning into my skill set, which is I like doing the work, but pick a model that allows it to bring recurring revenue and low maintenance. And then ideally start training up people to kind of do the builds.
So that your own hours per week just decrease with time.
Yeah. Or I focus more on building more relationships with other agencies in different verticals or industries where what we do works, and just building more of them. And then maybe getting to the point where it's like, I don't subcontract to businesses. I build the front agency that those businesses interact with in the first place. And they're our clients, they're direct clients. Or maybe instead of having an agency, we build an actual booking.com for that kind of niche. So whatever, if you're looking for a funeral director, you go to that website and blah, and there's all the funeral directors or something, because booking.com, they have all the skills in-house to be a good marketing agency for hotels. But instead of doing that, they built a consumer-facing brand like mjslimos.com, where consumers go onto the site to book hotels. So many consumers go there, a lot via Google Ads, that it makes sense for hotels to be on there and paid to, So, and then automatic customer, same guy, really small book. It's all about having MRR, monthly recurring revenue, a customer that pays you on subscription. Loads of little stories. I can't remember any of them. I do remember one, Amazon Prime. I thought that was clever, where people pay. Do we pay monthly? I pay for Amazon Prime. You pay monthly on Amazon Prime to get stuff delivered free. And whatever that fee is a month, I can't even remember. You're then inclined to pay more to make the most of it.
Right.
Yeah, or I'm going to buy stuff. Well, I better buy it on Amazon because I get free delivery. And I was like, wow, that is clever.
It's like with I'm in your Jumpstart, but not yet in the higher one, the accelerator one. And to me, like that is a no-brainer. If I ask one question and you answer one question, and it actually makes a difference to our Google Ads, it's paid itself back for the next 10 years, right? So that's thank you for putting that together. All right, Andy, look, thank you so much. I know we're so well over time. Thank you so much for taking the time. I have my notes. I'm gonna go
Brilliant.
do all that. So how do I pay you?
You don't. I'm
come on.
What we'll do, no. What we'll do is, because I actually said this in our email chat. You were asking, I said, look, no, if we just do it, if you're happy, we can put this up in the Fastlane forum or wherever, help more people. I'll cut out various bits where I got a bit specific about client stuff.
Sure.
Okay, cut out those parts. You put your notes in. Happy days. Like, this is me leaning into what I do. This is one of my things that I like doing. I like talking to people all the time. It took me years before someone's, Andy, you should record them. I'm like, huh? What do you mean? Like, how the heck do I do that with Skype back in the days? Like, how do I record a Skype call? I have no idea, right? If I record the chats I have with people and can publish them, so the value exchange is like, I have a free chat with someone and I can publish it. Brilliant. How's that? Rather than it's paid call and they can't publish it because it's paid and all really confidential. And then when it's a paid call, it all becomes like, it just takes all the fun out of it for me. It's no longer a chat. Then I'm better able to help more people. We are actually, the things you've asked. And then guess what? When we put this in, say, the Fastlane forum, or put it up on the YouTube channel, and you put your notes and other people come in and watch it, it will help them. And some of them might give you suggestions to you, or might go, oh, you know what? I know a person in the regenerative agricultural thingy. And gosh, yeah, they mentioned that they need to Google, whatever. That's how it works. Yeah. So you pay, I'm not even going to use the word paying it back. It's not like you just put it out there. Just keep doing the right thing. It comes back. It comes back. And honest to God, it sounds foo-foo, but it flipping does. It comes back.
Yeah, no, I'm already starting to see that. Just a few weird things just coming kind of over the last couple of years, and I'm like, wow, yeah, it kind of starts coming back, doesn't it?
Yeah, and actually, I remember I had a chat with a business life coach, a paid chat ages ago, and it was half an hour, and we talked for 2 hours. At the end, I was like, dude, I have to. And he was like, no,
my brain's melted.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's brilliant. Always. And I was gonna, I'm gonna send you, 4 times what I originally paid. And he was like, no. If you do that, the transaction's complete. Whereas this, the transaction's not complete, which means, and it wasn't foo-foo, but it's going to come back to him. Yeah. It's not ended. It's not just finished now. So how does that work? Well, obviously I refer people to him because I'm like, he's amazing. It's amazing. But he just believes that, So, and that's my belief, full stop. Like, business is simple. You help people, then you get paid eventually, not necessarily that transaction, you get paid, and then you just help more people. And you just you build this thing. So chuck this on YouTube. A couple of people might watch it, whatever. I'll load it into the Fastlane forum as well, and there you go. It's helped you. You can point to people to it in the future. I can point people to, oh, I talked to a guy who's a math student. Maybe you can go watch such and such. There you go. It will just build up the body of knowledge. And also, it's like, instead of just keeping it between me and you.
Exactly right. It's because this is so many people will have the exact same or very similar questions, very similar issues, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Yeah. Happy to put it, of course, on the forum, on YouTube. All right, Andy. Thank you so much. We will definitely talk again sometime.
Brilliant.
All right. Next time,
how you
more
get
technical. All right. Cool. Thanks, Andy.
All right. Bye.
Good night.